Well, more than 2 decades ago, God put a mission on her heart. She was told that she needs to go to unreached places, and that's why they call her Mama Africa. Her incredible journey just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is The Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I'd like to think that all of us have some kind of ministry. My ministry and mission is to help people tell their story. But I got to be honest, I come to an air-conditioned office every day. It's pretty comfortable doing my mission. My next guest has an incredible mission, and I can't even imagine what it's been like to walk in her shoes for the past 22 years. Carole Ward is with Favor International. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here, Jeff.
Absolutely. Okay, so tell us, some 22 years ago, you received a message.
Yes, I had prayed, Lord, send me where no one wants to go and to do what no one wants to do, reaching unreached people groups. And I had no idea how that prayer would be answered.
And so it started with Uganda.
Yes.
And now it's broadened out to many countries.
Many countries. It started in a war zone in Uganda of a 20-year war, and I went up there just to pray with no agenda. And God exploded the ministry, and now we are in South Sudan and Sudan and Congo and Ethiopia and Chad and Morocco and Egypt and Northern Kenya and Somaliland and Djibouti and Central African Republic.
Unbelievable. And we were talking just before the show. There's like some 200 different languages in those countries. So there's no way you could learn every language. What's it like going into a place where maybe they haven't seen but anyone like you before?
Well, I go with an interpreter, and we go with prayer preceding us. So we fast and pray before we find headhunters, cannibals, war zones, unreached people groups, naked tribes, and we search them out. We find somebody that can speak that language, or we take somebody that can speak a similar language, and we go with an interpreter to take the gospel into those kind of regions.
Carole, I am so blown away by your ministry. We've got some video that I found off of your YouTube channel, and as we put this up, I want you to kind of describe what we're seeing.
Okay. This is actually a scene in Africa. We work mostly rurally, but sometimes in urban areas. And we raise up indigenous missionaries to become missionaries. And the motto is transformed hearts, transform nations, because if the heart's not changed, then a person cannot change their environment. And so by empowering the nationals, they do an incredible job to transform their community through the gospel and transform their nations. We work with women empowerment. We work with trafficking children we take in, cattle raiders, cattle keepers, unreached people groups. We do church planting, church construction. You see portable Bible schools there with many, many nationals being graduated from rural Bible school.
Well, Carole, I have to imagine not only is there a language barrier, but there might be a trust barrier. When you come into a village for the first time, do they instantly trust you?
No, you earn their trust by loving them. When they know that you love them and you're there to serve them, they embrace you.
And you wrote 2 amazing books. I'm going to hold up your first book on the screen so people can see this, and we've got a full screen graphic. Tell us about Send Me Where No One Wants to Go.
That was my first prayer. Probably I started that when I was 12 years old, asking God, use me where you need me the most. And so this is a book of the first 10-year journey in war zones. It's a manual on spiritual warfare and a lot of incredible testimonies of God's miraculous intervention, saving my life because I go through bullets and ambushes and places that are off limits by the government. And stories.
Okay, so from that first book, what person do you see when you think about that first 10 years? Is it a child? Is it a woman? I mean, who do you think about when you think about this is why I'm doing what I do?
It was a youth, actually, and he was the nephew of the demonic dictator who was being groomed to do human sacrifices, and he had a price on my head. And when God encountered him and he gave his life to the Lord Jesus radically, we sent him to Bible school. He graduated top in his class on Muslim evangelism, discipleship, and now he's the one teaching in our Bible schools, equipping 1,000 missionaries, which we have, to send to 10, 12 nations. Full circle transformation.
Wow, Carole, you are so impressive. I'm going to hold up the second book, and this describes the second 10 years. So why don't you talk about this one?
I moved to South Sudan 10 years ago and started the same work, leaving the headquarters in northern Uganda under other administration. It's still multiplying. We had over 100,000 people come to Jesus just last year, and so the work is spreading in South Sudan, which has had 62 years of civil war and has some of the most volatile tribes in the world located in South Sudan. So the same work going on there now, and then I just moved to Chad this year, so the work is extending.
Well, we know from the Bible that even when Noah was asked to build the ark, he said, "Are you sure, God?" Or were there times when your life is in danger that you said to God, "Are you sure this is where you need me?"
My life's been in danger several times. I don't know that I've ever questioned being there because I told the Lord when I went, you can use me in life or in death. But I've had rebels with AK-47s and pistols jump in my car, take me off-road to rape and kill. And before the end of the journey, they gave their lives to Jesus. So they came in as murderers, they got out as missionaries, and I watched God transform people like that almost on a daily basis.
Well, this sounds like a Hollywood movie, and I want Meryl Streep to play you in the movie when they finally make this thing. We've got some your website, so let's go ahead and pull up the website and scroll down, and I want you to talk about the ministry, and obviously you're based on donations. You cannot serve the people that you serve without help from the public.
That's right. Faith is how we operate, and so we spend a lot of time praying, but we need help because it's a corporate mission, and people are hungry for the gospel. They're hungry for change. Even in nations where there's terrorism, they're asking us, please, will you come? Because they've seen the testimonies of transformation. And so you can go online and participate in the work. You can give online. We also have a physical address in Florida, which you can give to. And that's like being a missionary at home, even though you don't have to go to Chad and live where I live amongst terrorism.
Wow. And I know you're a very popular speaker. We've got some video that I found off of your YouTube channel, and I don't know exactly where you're speaking. Was this in a house of worship? Or
that looks like Chicago. I was speaking on spiritual warfare.
All right. Tell me what spiritual warfare means.
It's battling in the unseen realm. With 2 Corinthians 10, Jesus said, the weapons of your warfare are not carnal. So it's an unseen battle between forces of darkness. But God empowers us, of course, with the power of heaven to push back the strongholds over people and communities and regions and to see them free to come to Jesus.
And I have to imagine when you come back to a village many years later, do you run into some people who come up to you and remember you from a few years ago?
All the time, and embrace and say thank you and say, look what we've done with what you empowered us to do. That's what's so exciting.
Wow. Well, I know a lot of people are going to be called to help you through this mission and ministry because you just have countless people that you would like to reach that you actually need funding to reach. So in the last couple minutes or so, why don't you look into that camera on the left and talk to somebody who's sitting there with the urge to give. Tell them why they need to get involved.
When you're involved in a trafficked child's life that's pulling them off of the street and off of death, or an unreached people group, a tribe of them, you are investing in eternity. And when you invest in eternity, your reward is eternal. God multiplies it amazingly. And you're giving your life for something that is of value, not temporal, but of eternal value. And so you may not all be called to go to Africa, but you can all be missionaries in Africa by empowering and sending the teams we work with that are bringing great, great transformation all the way to the government levels.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for blessing us with your mission and ministry. You certainly inspired me, and the time of giving back and thinking about your fellow man is now. So I'm so glad that you're here during the holiday season.
Thank you so much.
You bet. We're going to end with her website, which is, of course, favorinternational.org. The great Carole Ward. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.